This is Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
Host Tyler, and welcome to Krypton Report, a podcast dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl. We're going to look at the Supergirl TV series as well as the Krypton TV series, anything that has to do with the characters in their world. Comics, movies, TV shows. We will talk about everything and anything. We are part of the Southgate Media Group podcasting network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review to help us get better. You can find me personal at JTYPatrick on Twitter and everything else. You can buy a Krypton Report t-shirt at tpublic.com. Check it out. They have all sizes, colors, styles of shirts. Just go to tpublic.com and search Krypton Report, and you'll see our logo. And every time you buy a shirt, it helps support other podcasts from southgatemedia.com. Thank you. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Krypton Report. Today, my friends, we talk about Krypton, the episode Hope. And hope is a very powerful thing, especially to the Superman fam and the L family. But I cannot do this task alone, no. I've brought my trusty, loyal Solomon and James. Haha, held you in suspense. You were like, oh, so he's just going to be him and Solo? Nope, not today. Solomon Superboy is chilling. Playing some Injustice in the other room. And with me, as always, is the main man himself. Not Lobo, but James. Welcome, James.
Oh. Hear him talking about Lobo back there.
Yep. So he's going to think of you as Lobo.
Oh, that's okay.
So we're just going to jump into this episode. Can I just say, this had a Shyamalan twist that I'm still like, wow. I saw this, and the first thing I did was I messaged you. I was like, have you watched it yet? I messaged Phil. I was like, have you watched it yet? Both of you were like, no, not yet. And I just sat there like, I have to tell somebody.
Yeah. It shocked me as well.
So we're gonna take a quick sec, and we're gonna start from beginning before we reveal the whole what the heck moment. All right, good people of ours. So here we go with. Oh, I hear it.
Yes, Jimmy has come into the room.
Look, the laser. I thought he has another laser to push, but he has a glasses to cover his eyes from that laser he was doing.
Oh, cool.
That him.
Solo saying
Solo. Oh, he left the room now. I will let him know.
It's me, Solo.
I will tell him.
So the episode starts where we get a shot of the Brainiac Sentry feeding off people straight up. Like, not the chamber, just people. And the last episode ended where they didn't know where the body was of the voice. And he's just straight up feeding, like, you know.
Yeah, like some sort of succubus.
And then we get a scene of Seg making out with Lyda. I'm just saying, this guy's bouncing around, man.
Yeah.
I hope Lyda and Nissa don't get talking. He's going to be in some hot water.
Right. Well, you know, he's promised to be bonded, but then, you know, Lyda and him love each other, so. But yeah, seems like he could be in some hot water moving forward.
This is probably one of my favorite scenes that that follows it is Seg has a nightmare and he sees Brainiac. And he was trying to stop Brainiac and he's on Brainiac's ship. And I was like, this looks awesome. I was like, what? Did I miss something? No, it was a dream.
Yeah, luckily it went pretty quick. Otherwise, you're like, wait, what happened? They don't give you any sense it's a dream until it's over.
And I was like, man, like, that would have been actually really cool. Like, why did you do this?
Right?
And we also get, none of this was neat right here. So we get a scene with Jax and Darren Vex. And we find out that Jax was actually Val's protege, and she trusted Darren. And she makes a comment. She says, "My name is Jax now." So what was her name, I wonder, before then?
Yeah. I mean, you got me, but yeah, she knew that she'd be next, being Val's protege, basically in line for the death penalty. So she up and disappeared.
And then moving forward, we find out that they're going to want to release Doomsday. And I thought, how would you stop Doomsday once he destroyed Brainiac? Or could you get, Drew Zod makes a comment that he's an apex predator. He'll go after the top person first before he'll go after anyone else. Excuse me. And that's why he would go after Brainiac. Well, they approach the vault, and they're there, and Seg shows up and makes a comment that he's not going to help Drew Zod. It takes a Zod and an L to open the tomb to get to where Doomsday's being kept. And what do we learn right here? James, I'll let you go.
We learn that Drew Zod he knows who his father is. He said he didn't, but he does now. And that his father is Seg.
Boom.
He is an L and a Zod. Boom. Yes.
That would make him Jor-El's half-brother.
Yeah. It's Uncle Zod now to Kal-El.
Yeah. I was like, what? And then I was like, whoa. What if, and I got thinking, what if he was born naturally?
That was my thought too.
Because they keep saying, I got in my notes later on, they keep saying, Jax says something that they're taking away our only means of to reproduce. Has something happened that they can't reproduce naturally? Or it's just the birthing chambers easier and better for them? What if Drew Zod was conceived naturally, and that's why Lyta hit it and all that stuff? And
well, it could be something that they haven't touched upon too much as a method of population control for generations.
And then what if Nyssa ends up being Seg's wife and Jor-El's mother, and they have Jor-El around the same time? That's why Zod and Jor-El are about the same age. And what if Seg...
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
And Seg never knew that Zod was that General Zod was his kid. I was just so that was just the twist that just blew my mind.
Yeah. I mean, a departure from, pretty much everything we know, basically, but
like we've talked about
very
before,
interesting twist.
It seems like every time Zod appears, it's some different form of Zod. They've never been this is the definitive Zod story and look. Every time he shows up in comics, he looks different. And in movies and everything, he's different.
Right.
So this is their version of Zod. So, I mean, that was enough for me to be like, oh, yep. This is big deal. So we learned
pretty much
Seg moved Doomsday with the help of Jaina Zod. And Drew says, though they couldn't have gotten far. And so we go back and we have Jax-Ur talking a little bit more about the Vera protocol. She's talking to Darren, and she's torturing Darren, which is awesome.
Yeah, it looked like she put a B0 type symbol on his neck. So it's marked black 0.
Loved it. Just shocking him to death. We learned that Doomsday's chamber is failing and he will break free. And I'll be so mad if he's not in the last episode. I need to see some Doomsday, like some sweet looking Doomsday. Solomon and I.
That could be pretty cool.
Because we've been on such a Doomsday kick for some reason.
Right.
And,
well, I mean, if they continue on and it basically is history, Brainiac's going to take the city. So it could be quite interesting if Doomsday is released, but Brainiac takes the city and Doomsday along with it.
See, that's would be cool. That would be kind of a cool twist.
That would probably send Doomsday through the cosmos some way or another. Brainiac would be able to just, like, if it broke free and started causing problems, his entire ship is him. He could still take Doomsday and at least get him off ship before he destroys everything.
And that's maybe how Doomsday eventually gets to Earth.
Possibility.
But like we've been on such a big Doomsday kick, like I like Doomsday and BVS. I just wish he had been like, I wish he hadn't went like electric looking weird thing, like energy. I wish he had just gotten more bones and like kept growing bones out of him like Doomsday's supposed to look. Because Solomon and I watched some of the scenes from Smallville with Doomsday, and I kind of wish they had just went ahead and did their own kind of Death of Superman-esque thing on Smallville and really let him fight more with Doomsday. Because one of the cool things
that's
Doomsday on Smallville is he looked good, but they kept him dark and in the shadows. So
they lit a guy in heavy makeup really well. He looked really good in the show, and the season finale of the 8th season was pretty disappointing when it came down to that whole aspect of it. And they didn't do a death of Superman. They did just like a death of Clark Kent.
Burying of Doomsday.
Yeah.
That's all. They buried him 2 miles under the earth. And I'm like, okay, eventually.
Basically for him to, eventually basically for him to break out of the earth and actually perform the death of Superman scenario.
But this isn't about Smallville. But it could be. We find out that Jaina says I'm the Primus of the Sagittarii. So I'm wondering if Primus is the name given to the leader of the Sagittarii. Like you would be like Primus Cole if you led the Sagittarii.
Right.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
Primus Cole.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have to go as Primus Cole for Halloween. Or do a con.
Sounds good.
Yep.
I like it. They talk about so I wrote that down because Drew is lecturing Jaina about honor, respect, their whole family thing. They're going back and forth. What do you call it?
And Drew Zod ends up challenging Jaina.
Right. I was like, holy crap. Like,
yep.
I was like, wow. Like, he is, because Seg and Jaina are aligned because she warned him about her feelings and intentions about Drew Zod being there and what he might actually be wanting to do while there. And, Seg, he doesn't listen quite well sometimes. And he did this time, which was great. But it caused them to be, not only is Jaina challenged by Drew Zod, the people who are protecting Doomsday turn on Seg.
Right. Well, Seg's got a legacy he's going to have to lead. He's got an expectation of the L's that came before him and, the way they earned their sigil, as Val-El tells him in this episode. that they earned their symbol of hope. And, you know, I think Seg's definitely going to live up to the legacy and, you know, pass it down.
Exactly. He is picking up the family where his grandfather left off. We get the mention of Argo City.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see that Superman's cape's about halfway gone.
Yeah, it wasn't until the last episode, I think, where they actually did a somewhat of a focus on it. But this one, they went right up on it, and Seg isn't sure he's doing the right thing because the cape is almost gone.
Which is interesting because, like, we haven't seen it in a couple of episodes. Did you notice that when the AI of Val appears, it's the shield, and then it opens up to being Val?
Oh, really?
Like the light shines and it makes the shield logo, and it open as it expands. Val appears, and we hear Val tell Seg some things that hope is a powerful weapon, especially if for an L. So meanwhile, while Seg is getting lectured from Grandpa, the Zods are battling. And what happens in that battle, James?
Well, it seems as Jaina is about to come out on top when Lyta interferes and actually shoots her mother in the side with the blaster.
And pisses them both off. Like, her mother can't believe she did that to her. Because Jaina even says, "I failed you, Lyta." And Drew can't believe that she did that and stole his honor.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty crazy, especially since she did her own early in the season. And you know, for her to do that, to break the tradition, and you know, I mean, that's a pretty big thing, but there's an interesting twist that comes out of that as well that I was surprised to see.
If it's the one I think you're of, I kind of had expected it before, and I saw I was half right about it, but we'll see if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, I had expected it before, you know, when we had seen it in a prior episode until it was shown to be a robot, some kind of training device. But yeah, that was an interesting twist that came out of this whole Zod battle thing here. One thing we haven't seen, like, we get a mention of Adam. Like, they don't know where Adam is. They probably suspect him dead or something.
Yeah,
from
Adam
the explosion.
wasn't in this episode, and neither was
But
Kim.
Yeah, they said they sent Kem off to Kryptonopolis, and which is still a funny name.
I hate that name.
But
like, if I was the actor, like, I would be like, "Look, guys, that's one thing I just can't buy. Like, I'm gonna have trouble with this line. Okay, hold on."
right, like, you gotta come up with some other scarce Kryptonian city from the comic someplace, or make one up. But Kryptonopolis.
Yeah, that was just lazy writing. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
But
yeah, they weren't in the episode.
Is when Darren Vex.
Your favorite part?
Yeah, when Vex has escaped
Oh,
and he's flying, and Jax-Ur finds out, and she hits it, and her torture device she put in his neck is long ranged, and it just starts shocking him, and he crashes. That's my favorite part.
yeah, I thought that was funny. I didn't suspect that. Like, he made it really far. How far that long range torture device goes, he made it really far before they were alerted, and she shocked him.
Now, did you catch that Jax-Ur says the name Flamebird?
I did.
And do you want to educate the people on Flamebird?
Well, the very little that I know about it is Flamebird and Nightwing were heroes on Krypton, and it was a story that Superman had told Dick Grayson after he had separated from Batman, and Dick Grayson took on the moniker of Nightwing.
Yes, and that's awesome. So I love that they just mentioned that, because one thing we find out here is that the protocol that Jack Sir was looking at, the Vera protocol, is actually it was a hidden thing inside the Genesis chamber of cloned Kryptonians. It was cloned people from houses and rankings of high standards. So basically a way to live forever. Thought that was kind of neat, but curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So they decide, Seg leads, they have Black Zero and the Sagittarii aligned long enough, they're going to try to stop the Voice of Ra. There's a big red light in the sky, go figure, light in the sky, and they're going to attack the Voice. And this is what I got lost, because all of a sudden, Brainiac can control minds, because he makes them turn on each other. Like, did I miss?
Well, I mean, I don't know why it happened in the show, but we know from the from at least the 80th anniversary Action Comics 1000 that there was a story in there of Brainiac controlling somebody's mind.
True.
From afar.
But I mean, that was just kind
of. So that's all I got there on that.
I'll roll with it, And then we see Brainiac basically pulls. It's all. Calm down a little bit, buddy. He gets into his injustice. We see him pull Seg towards him, and it's just Seg versus the Voice, and then the Voice gets stabbed in the back of the head by the House of El Crystal by Nyssa. And
she jams the Sunstone in the back of his head.
And then he dissolves. And then it brought down a shield that was covering the city. And this was another part that kind of threw me. So the Sentry rebuilds himself and he's Brainiac? Just straight up Brainiac? Did that throw you for a
That's the way it seemed. I mean, Brainiac has been known to have many bodies over the years. Different stories tell different ways that he's inhabited many bodies, robotic and otherwise. But so yeah, it seems like the Sentry, just put itself back together and is at least a Brainiac proxy on the planet.
Because that's what I said, and I was like, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, are we going to see Brainiac ship? Legit Brainiac, or is this just the Brainiac we get? I don't know, it's kind of confusing because they keep talking about Brainiac coming, and they've never really made the Sentry feel like he is Brainiac, but yet he is Brainiac. So
yeah, well, we know the voice and the actor for Brainiac are the same. So
yep, that. And then of course we have a cloaked figure who is who bends down to help Jaina when she's shot and hurt. And who do you think that cloaked figure is, my friend?
Well, it seemed pretty obvious when he took off his hood and he had two different color eyes. It was her brother that she left to die in the Outlands.
Exactly. And it wasn't that shocking because I had expected him to show up earlier. That's who I originally thought Drew was, but I'm glad he wasn't, because that would have sucked. Just because it would have been too, because the way he appears in that episode would have been too on the point, I think. But yeah, that was the episode Hope. What'd you think?
Well, I mean, they're kind of speeding up to the finish line. We got one more episode left. So some things in this episode that didn't have any explanation. I mean, there's precedence for it in the past, so basically it's just there. For us, we wouldn't really need too much explaining, maybe some headcanon in that, but for the general audience, that could lose them. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I give the episode a 8.5.
Yep, I do too.
Picking up the pace.
It's picking up the pace, but you know what really makes me like this episode is the twist about Zod and Jor-El. Like the half brothers thing, I thought was sweet.
Right,
hey, buddy.
That could be an interesting thing moving forward. Like, I mean, how is Drew Zod conceived naturally, and then is Jor-El going to be conceived naturally with Nyssa? Because seems like Seg is a dog, but or would Jor-El come from the Genesis chamber? Like, it's going to be interesting where it goes, and we know now that Krypton has been picked up for a second season on Sci-Fi.
So yeah, after we watch the next episode, we'll kind of speculate on some things that we might see carry over into season 2. Because right now, the way it stands, I have no idea what season 2 would be.
It's going to be, we got to see how they end it next season or next week, and it's probably going to be a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I hope it is some sort of a cliffhanger, but it wraps up enough to feel like this season worked.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see how it ends and where we think we should go from here.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Do you want to do the Action Comics special?
Yeah. The Action Comics special.
Yeah, if you're up to it.
Yep. I got it here. I was actually reading the Superman special.
I read that last night.
Did you?
Yep. So we'll bring that in for our next week's episode.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just under halfway done with it.
It was cool. We'll talk about it. Man, this is the one thing I hate is like something happens. I'm like, I want to make a comment to you. Then I said, no, we'll just wait and talk about it. Solo, come.
Sounds like he's having a ball.
He is. He's got my pop figures out now. All right, you ready?
Oh, I couldn't believe that freaking $170 Bane figure.
I know, because as soon as you said, I was like, I know I've seen one. I have to find it. And I was looking, I was like, dear Lord.
Like, I'll buy the coat. It's buy a nice leather coat like that. That's,
I'm like,
$180, but geez.
Does Tom Hardy just show up at your door with it?
Right. Personally hand deliver every Bane figure.
Yeah, because that might make it worth it.
Right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So now we're going to take a step and we're going to dig into that beautiful thing that started this all we like to call the comics. We're going to be looking at Action Comics Special number 1, which I think is interesting that it's an Action Comics Special and not just like Action Comics 1001. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they do annuals and stuff like that, but it's just kind of interesting. So it is, I guess it is part of the new continuity-ish because he does have the trunks on. And it's just kind of funny because on the cover he doesn't. He's in the costume he had before the trunks magically came back. And when we jump in, he has the trunks on.
Yep.
So
I wonder if they're going to. I wonder if they're just going to address the fact that the trunks are back, or if it's just going to keep this like all of a sudden they're back and there's no explanation why.
Yeah, you know what I mean, there was that one line where it was like, oh, he's got the trunks again. So I mean, that's got to be something that's going to come along and explain it.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if that's because that was a precursor to the Man of Steel storyline that's coming out at the end of the month. But that begins. Yeah, but I mean, I would assume that takes place after this. So the fact that he's just has the red trunks on, and it's just they're just there.
Exactly. So, James, why don't you take the lead on this one, buddy? I've been doing a lot.
Okay. Well, we start the book with somebody breaking into the Fortress of Solitude. Seems to mimic Kal-El, is able to utilize the Kryptonian technology, access the crystals, and he looks in on Kal-El's family, and he sees Lois Lane and John, and as the story moves forward, in the final images of showing who broke into the fortress, it looks pretty familiar, but the guy is old and he's got an oxygen. He's got a mask, perhaps oxygen or something.
Yep. He's old and decrepit.
Yeah. And
I was going to say, the next page has one of my favorite shots of Superman of all times. It's Superman flying, holding a pizza box. And if that doesn't say Tyler's Superman, I don't know what does.
Excellent. He's taking the pizza home, and Lois is leaving. She's heading out, and Clark is bringing home a pizza for him and John. And after he gets home, John gets a text message, and he shows it to Superman, and it is like the text message is outing Lois Lane, her flight and everything, as Mrs. Superman.
Yeah.
That she is.
And Superman sends John to go see Kara.
Yeah. Well, if they know who Superman is, or Lois, nobody's safe. Hence the secret identities.
Secret identities? What are those? Oh, you mean those things that seem like superheroes used to have that anymore they slowly don't?
Pretty much. Seems like in movies it's an impossibility to have a secret identity.
I think that you can have a secret identity, and I think it's important. I mean, to your close friends is one thing, but just the general, people, I think it's needed. But
yeah, the stories are. It's necessary for the stories. For supervillains, if supervillains knew the secret identity of superheroes, nobody, family, friends, even the general public, isn't safe from a supervillain attack when they typically cause massive amounts of collateral damage.
This isn't Iron Man here, people. So, but moving forward, we have a bomb that is shot, and Superman deflects the bomb and saves the plane. And of course, who does Superman go to see, thinking it's the person he's after?
Lex Luthor.
Dun, dun, dun. Go.
Back at it. Everything's Lex Luthor's fault.
I mean, isn't that what do you call it? The whole deal? Like with Superman, it's always Lex.
Pretty much. And if it's not extraterrestrial, it's Lex.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he goes to see Lex Luthor, and I see your penchant for vandalizing my office building is as strong as ever. It looks like he heat visions and melts a freaking window outside of his office on a skyscraper. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that, skyscraper glass is pretty thick, so you can't just like run into it and fly out a window.
Yep. Movies lie to us.
But
that's why he had to use his heat vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's a hell of an expensive window he just melted, though.
That's why he's Superman. And he's like, whatever, Lex. Bill me.
Yeah. He does say, please give me the name of your insurance company so I can file a claim.
And he's just like, ha ha ha. No, he doesn't say that, but it'd be funny if he did. But we see that he looks, and this is in continuity Lex, because he says, my armor no longer has your symbol on it. And he says, I'm feeling dizzy, and Superman's feeling dizzy and weak. Lex starts to do some investigating of his own. And then all of a sudden, we see a giant Lex armor mech looking thing grab Lois and drop her from a high, very high story.
Yeah, after her elevator went rocketing through the top of the building and she was free from it, large Lex Luthor Lexo suit grabs her.
And then, of course, Superman gets her. And then Superman, who's weak, begins fighting the Lex suit. It's a pretty
Yes, he crashes down and destroys a Superman statue.
It's a pretty sweet battle, I'm not going to lie. And then a missile shot at Lois. And it's stopped by Lex in his armor that used to have the Superman symbol that doesn't. And then Superman takes down the big mech, rips it open, and what does he find inside?
Finds an old Lex Luthor.
Old.
Like old Lex Luthor.
Like old. She's too old.
Like,
can't take her house.
He says, guess an extra 70 years makes me a little unrecognizable. I mean, 70 years, is this Lex Luthor in his 20s or 30s? That easily puts him at near 100 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's...
he achieved everything he ever wanted to do except for kill Superman. That is his last mission in life, is to try and kill Superman.
And he can't even do it.
Yeah, he has a heart attack and the suit explodes, massive explosion.
And Lex says, who was it? Who was in there?
And Superman refuses to tell him that it was him from the future. But his comment, what difference does it make? The abyss consumed him a long time ago. Is that he believed that Lex Luthor is still, and obviously, he goes to Lex Luthor so quickly for accusations. Is that aligned to the old Lex Luthor, or is that aligned to what he believes even his Lex Luthor is about, that he's already a lost cause.
See, and I don't want to say that it is, because isn't that part of his belief, the capacity for good? There's always redemptive ability. So I would feel like that doesn't sound like the Superman I know, that if he already feels that Lex is dead, you know?
Right.
So I don't know, but I think it's very, very strong. But that's the first story and the major story of the issue. Then after that, we get a small... I didn't like this next one at all, really. It's like a dinner, and basically it's a big like banquet, presidential type banquet, they said, and Lois is there, Clark, some of the Justice League are there, and Lex is there, and Lois gives Clark some jokes, and I don't see Clark as that kind of person that would be trying to tell these jokes, these roast type jokes, because it draws a lot of attention to Clark.
Yeah.
Even when he's standing up, and on the screen behind him, Superman.
Yeah, I saw that part too. I was like, what?
I didn't like it. I'll be straight up. I did not like it. That's the story.
Yeah. He, the art is a little cartoony too. Like, all the characters look pretty cartoonish. The one thing I would say is they did a good job of making him seem nervous, trying to pull off these roast type jokes.
Yeah. But I just don't see him going through with it.
Yeah. Especially standing up there in front of everybody with so many images of Superman.
Exactly.
It's like those glasses better disrupt, people's image of you big time at that point, because you're literally, it's like the shot from Superman Returns where the kid sees Clark Kent with a picture of Superman on the screen right next to him.
Yep.
Child finds out.
And then the last one's called Superman and Lois Lane in Driver's Seat. And it's basically Lois in a car accident. And, I like part of this because Superman stops the guy who's robbing a bank. And he basically says, I'm going to have to turn you in and you're going to have to stand trial. But you do this jetpack. You built it in your garage. And you need to get a patent on it.
Yeah, wants him to have a future after he's, be able to make money and have a future after he pays for his crime.
And he says, I'll take it and I'll hide it, and when you get out, I'll bring it to you and we'll patent it. And I like that part of the story. I kind of got a little confused with, Lois is talking about her car accident and how, she had this car for so long. They go to a family, her family is like cabin for Christmas. And then Clark got the seat from the car, I guess. And he puts her on it and then takes her for a flight in the sky. Which is cool, but I don't know. It was okay.
Yeah, that's just one of those, loving stories that, he'll do everything he can, give her one last ride in her car's chair so she can say goodbye, seeing as her car was taken from her as opposed to.
And I kind of I like that, but at the same time, I kind of wish that was a separate story, and the whole story was her in the car, and then the guy and the bank robber was a separate story, and we followed him a little bit more. I don't know. I would have liked that.
Yeah.
But what is your thoughts? Who read these? What are your thoughts on the Trunks, Man of Steel coming up?
I mean, I we spoke about the trunks before. I like without it, but I'm indifferent if they are back, for whatever reason. I grew up with Superman with the trunk, so it's only the last 7 years that he's been without him. So not really.
That's 7 years of kids growing up without them, and now all of a sudden they're back, and kids are like, "Wait, what?" And if they're just watching,
he wears red underwear on the outside.
If they're watching movies and TV, they're really going to be confused.
Right. So, I mean, good stories. The first one was very good. Second one had a couple of moments, wasn't my favorite. And then the third one really just went off on a strong Superman note, believing in the guy, even though he did something wrong, and doing what he can for Lois to make her happy. It's just a strong Superman story. Really gets to the heart.
And as a bonus to this episode, I have a special interview that I did with a big Superman fan. So here's that, and enjoy. Welcome to the Krypton Report. I'm your host, Tyler, and with me today is not James or Jania, but I have a special guest. This is power of the internet, people connecting with common goals. But I have with me Tasmin. Did I pronounce that right, correct?
Yep.
I thought so. It's a sweet name. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's going to introduce herself because I saw her on Twitter and Facebook for a very unique thing that definitely spoke to me. So, Tasmin, go ahead and kind of tell them, why are you now famous?
Well, I hope I wouldn't say famous, but my Superman collection's pretty much gone a little bit viral. The BBC Midlands came over to do a little interview about the collection and some of the pieces that I've got, and it kind of went out of control from there.
Which is awesome. And I saw it and I was like, I have to talk to this person. I was like, as I told my wife, these are my people. We must connect.
I love that.
So let's just talk real quick. Give us kind of a history. We've got some kind of questions that we like to ask people, but what is your history with the character? Like, when do you remember your first introduction? Just kind of a brief love of the character.
The first introduction was when I was younger. I was probably about 7 or 8, and I used to watch the TV program The Adventures of Superman with my granddad. So I remember watching that, and then I kind of got a little bit hooked, and he showed me Superman the movie. And I never really collected then. I just kind of watched the TV programs and the films and things like that. And then Superman Returns came out, and then all the memorabilia came out, and I could start earning my own money and things like that. So that's where I kind of spiraled out of control.
Oh, I agree. Like it or love the movie, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, but it was the first movie that I was able to see Superman in theaters.
Yeah, same.
And I remember, I had Superman stuff, and of course, growing up, I had the animated series, the Bruce Timm, the Justice League, and then you had the Christopher Reeves, but they weren't as easy to find.
No.
And then, of course, we had Lois and Clark. But I remember when Superman Returns, came out, and of course, Smallville. I was watching Smallville, of course. I just remember walking into Walmart one day after work at a huge display that had all the old Superman things on sale. So I was like, so I bought all the movies, Lois and Clark season 1, because for the longest time that was the only season you could find.
Yeah.
And so it was a good time because it was like Superman was back, people were excited. So I'm totally on board with that.
Yeah, I that's the film that got me properly collecting, I think. So I used to like Superman before anyway, and I was also into superheroes. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so much stuff came out, all the toys and the memorabilia, and I bought T-shirts and posters and everything. It was, I loved it.
It's kind of like, this is a sidestep to that other DC character, but, people hate on Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. And
I remember watching those when I was younger, and I used to watch it over and over again. And I watched it recently, and it was terrible.
And granted, I mean, they're not the best, but like because of my childhood memories, I love them. And like, and my son is more interested in watching Batman and Robin just because the colors, all the characters. So he really enjoys it. And I'm like, you know what? He'll like that when he's a kid. And then as he gets older, you know, he'll like the other films.
Yeah, exactly.
So I you know, and I just remember being that time with all the merchandise and memorabilia, like, you know, going to Taco Bell to get a Batman cup or cereals and things like that. It was exciting as a kid.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that. Like, they don't do as much as they used to.
No, they don't. There's still a lot of merchandise out there, but I think a lot of it's more targeted at kids. So you've got the sideshow collectible figurines and stuff that are worth, well, they cost a fortune.
Yeah. I'm like, I just want the guy who's like 6 inches to play with. And then when I'm done, I just put him on my shelf.
Yeah. Well, I don't take anything out of the box, so when I buy stuff, I don't even get to play with it. I just look at it and put it on the side.
I have a lot of things that are still like boxed. I got things that are put to the side on the shelf. And then I have the things that are playable. You got to have something to play with.
Yeah.
And like I bought the Smallville Clark Kent pop figure. And it's a pop figure I don't have open. The other ones are just like simple, easy, you know, generic ones. And Solomon's always like, "Can I play with that one, Daddy?" No. He doesn't understand. He's like, "Why is that still in the box, Daddy?" He just looks at me like, "What?" And I got a really cool 12-inch collectible Zod that's still encased that I got for Christmas one year. So it's we're gonna keep talking here.
Yep.
And this is the beautiful thing about not doing things live. I can my wife start making breakfast for the kids upstairs. I love them. They're energetic.
Yeah.
They're
How many have you got?
I have 2, and then my nephew's here. My daughter is 1, and I'm 3, and my nephew's 5. So they're all excited.
It's good age. They're cute.
Oh yeah,
cute age.
They're great. They're amazing, and they're upstairs watching Batman. They're watching Batman Unlimited Mechs versus. I got them all, like, you know, because Solomon loves Batman, and right now he's really getting into Superman more. Like, he likes Superman, but like, for some reason he's on a Doomsday kick.
Really?
Like, yeah, he's like, we were at the store and we found a Doomsday toy, and he was like, oh. So of course I had to get it for him.
It does look pretty impressive for kids, isn't it? My little brother, he's 9 and he's obsessed with Spider-Man. But when I'm around, he pretends that it's not Spider-Man and that his favorite superhero is Superman. So he just lies to me.
Yeah, I saw him like Spider-Man too, and I'm like, that's cool. That's my favorite Marvel. So tell me, before we get into what does the character, like, why are you interested in the character? What makes the character appealing to you? Why Superman?
Just something that, well, because I was kind of brought up on Superman, it's always been kind of a part of me, and I've always been drawn to the character. But I just love the difference between, like, he's the most powerful superhero in the world, and then you've got his alter ego Clark Kent, who's, you know, just a basic geeky guy, and I love that they're the same person, that they combine. I love what he stands for. I love the colours and the comics and the artists and everything like that, all the storylines, all the villains, just a little bit of everything. I love everything about him.
Are you reading the current comics?
I haven't read the current ones, because when I started collecting, I kind of just got like hundreds of comic books in one go, so I didn't really read them all. I read the odd one, so I'm trying to catch up on the old ones before I start the new ones.
I will say that the Superman Rebirth storyline has been really good, and I liked Solomon and I visit the library often, and my library is neat because they do individual issues of books, so that's how I stay current on a lot of stuff. I get behind. Now, with the character, it's neat because as anyone who's listening might be able to tell, I'm from the United States. Tasmin is not. And it shows that the character spans the globe. That's always been, I think, a very important, is that the character is more than just one demographic. Like it touches everybody for different reasons, and that's an appealing aspect of the character to me.
And he's been going for 80 years, so he's got to be good.
Like we live about 2 hours away from Cleveland, and the Cleveland Public Library here in Ohio had a little display called From Cleveland to Krypton, and they had Jerry Siegel's original desk where he created Superman on it, and they had some different memorabilia, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of neat to think, like, the people that created Superman, the writers, are, they were from 2 hours away from where I'm at.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
we don't have anything like that.
And I'm like, and then I think I wrote a whole article. It's like, why wasn't Smallville in Ohio? But there's a whole convoluted history of where Smallville's located, and eventually they settled on Kansas, and I'm just kind of stuck. But I was like, it made more sense if it was Smallville, Ohio. But I digress.
Yeah.
So with your collection, like, how much space do you think it takes up? Like, that's always one of the problems when you collect, having somewhere to put it. Like, right now, I'm currently sitting in my basement, and we just moved into this house.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah. If I can see, I have my computer more. Like, let's see if I can get more of like my Superman.
Yeah. I can see the pop in the box still.
Yeah. We just moved into the house, and one thing was great was the way this house is laid out in the basement. I was able to get out my collection. I was able to, a lot of it's been packed up and stuff like that. So I understand about space. So how do you deal with the space of having your collection?
Well, I mean, at least you have a basement. I live in a 3-story flat, and so we don't have a basement or anything like that. And it's not the biggest. It's only 2-bedroomed. I still live with my mum, so one's hers, one's mine. And my room it literally looks like a 10-year-old boy's bedroom. It's just full of Superman stuff. And then you've got the odd sort of like makeup thing in the corner. I've got a lizard in the corner called Kal-El as well. But everything's in the attic pretty much. It's all boxed up, and I'm just kind of waiting to move out before I can to get it all out, because there is a lot and it would not fit in my room.
One day.
Yeah.
When you get your own place, and then down the line you find somebody and you're like talking about marriage, you're like, all right, here's the caveat: we have to have a house or a flat that has a room just for Superman. If you can't deal with that, we ain't getting married.
Well, my boyfriend at the minute, we've been together 6 years.
Awesome.
And we're starting to kind of think about getting a place, because he lives 2 hours away from where I live. He lives in Wales, so we've already agreed that I'm having a Superman room. That's the condition.
Like that's a kind of a joke I have with my wife, and I'm like, I'll just tell her sometimes, I'm like, I love you. She's like, yeah. I'm like, I have a basement room with Superman stuff, and you put up. I'm like that's a very special. She's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, because I agree with you. Like, I have my mother-in-law made 2 years ago for Christmas. She made everybody homemade fleece blankets as a gift. Mm-hmm. And I have, because I'm tall, she made a really big Superman blanket that fits me so that it's taller than me and wider, so I can really wrap up in it. And I love that. I love that blanket. Like, it's mine. And like you said, like, my favorite pillow ripped, and what my wife did was she restuffed it, and then took an old Superman pillowcase that I had and sewed it and made it special. So like, I have my own. So that's my pillow I sleep. So yeah, I totally get the whole.
Yeah.
Like, is this a child's room? No, it's mine.
Yeah, there's times where I go to a shop and buy stuff, and they're like, "Oh, your son will love that," and I'm like, "It's for me."
Oh, one of the greatest things was my wife would pick on me like, "We can't go to Toys R Us until we have kids," and I was like, dang it. Then we had a kid. I was like, guess where we're going?
I went there a few weeks ago, actually, because they closed down. So all of the stores in the UK were on sale. So I went hoping to find a load of Superman stuff, but they didn't really have anything, which is disappointing.
What sucks is we went to there's one by us, is a Toys R Us Babies R Us. And we went to it because we wanted to buy a double stroller for the kids. And it was like all the toys were 10-20% off and the shelves were empty. And I'm like, the prices are going to keep dropping, people.
I know, yeah. Wait till the last minute.
And then my friend's like, well, the Toys R Us in Cincinnati, he's like, we're still packed. I'm like, all right, road trip. So with your collection, what do you think what is your favorite piece? Like, it doesn't have to be the most valuable piece, but like, which one speaks to you? And I actually want to show you something. I'll grab it real quick.
Yep.
See this awesome Brendan Routh Superman statue?
Yeah, I have that.
So I was at my local shop and they had a flood and the box was damaged. Marked it down to $5. There was water damage on the box. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I'm like, $5.
Bargain.
And then here's my chunk of kryptonite from Illinois.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go there next year. I was hoping to go this year, but I couldn't afford it.
I would love to go again. I haven't been for Superman Celebration because my wife took me for my birthday, and I liked it because it was, it's a small town and everything. So it was nice because we got to walk around, got to go to the Superman Museum, which is epic beyond belief. And so now that I've went once and I've been there, I want to go again to, for a celebration.
Yeah.
I digress again. So what is your piece of your collection?
My favorite piece is probably, I've got a few autographs. I met Brandon Routh and Dean Cain, so I've got their autographs. They're probably the most well protected things that I've got. I've got a few of the comics that I've got are pretty some of my favorites. So I've got the Superman versus Muhammad Ali, which is also probably the most expensive one that I've got, and I've got Superman versus Spider-Man.
I want that one because we saw that while we were in Cleveland, and I definitely would love to have a copy of that one day. Yeah,
I got it on eBay for £15.
It's not bad.
Probably, maybe about $25.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, it's too early for that, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, but I think it was some woman who, I think her dad had died and he had loads of comics and stuff, and she was just selling it all, and she started it at 99p, and then obviously someone else clicked and I was bidding against them for about 15 minutes. But
you won.
Yeah.
You're like, do you know who I am? You give me this. You have to know who I am.
Just wait until the last few seconds and then I put a bid in.
I've done that before. I just won a Jon Stewart Green Lantern toy for Solomon because we were watching Justice League, the cartoons of, and then he watches the movie. And he's like, "Where's Green Lantern, Daddy?" And he's like, "I need Green Lantern toy," and they're so hard to find.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to be in that film.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion that my buddy James and I are holding off on because we're going to do a whole commentary on the movie because there's so much more information that's come out about what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. And it's still coming out, isn't it? There's still loads of stuff coming out every day.
It's crazy. So let's talk. You have your collection, and it's neat because, like you're a woman, and a lot of people don't think about, women collecting or loving some of these characters like they do, which I don't get it, but people are dumb. And so when you started collecting, have you ever had like negativity from anybody, or was it always like, that's a weird hobby? Why are you doing it?
Not really negativity. My family, when I did start collecting, my family were like, "Oh, you geek, you nerd," but they didn't mean it maliciously. They were just joking. So I didn't really take offense. And my friends aren't really into the same kind of thing either. So when we go out, I don't really talk about all of the Superman stuff I got this week. They don't understand it really. So yeah, I've never really had negativity, but I've had sort of like jokes. I'm like, oh, you nerd and things like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know. That's kind of what's funny. It's like the people around me aren't negative because I don't have anyone. But then I've met people through the podcast and through the website and everything.
Yeah.
That it's just like, yeah. So we like just talk like, do you see this? Like,
yeah, exactly. The people that I speak to talk about Superman to are people off kind of like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and things like that, and that's why I like using those kind of things, because you've got people with the same interests as you.
Exactly. Example of this conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I know they're about to bring Krypton to the UK. Has it started to air there yet, or
not yet? But I may have watched it somehow.
Your secret safe is cool. I think it's funny. Like my one friend's like, you got to see this one part, and so like this one show. So he literally filmed it like with his camera, his phone, and sent me. He's like, watch this. I haven't watched last night's yet, but what do you think about this?
No, I haven't either.
And just a general like.
Yeah, I really like it. There's a few times, I think it was more the first episode or two, where the acting was kind of, it's because, well, it's like an American TV program meets a British one. So they've all got English accents kind of thing. And it probably doesn't feel the same for you, but when I watch it, it just seems like they've mixed the two together, and sometimes the acting is a little bit off, because I think British humour is different to American humour. So yeah, but
I love BBC America. Just throwing that out there. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of good programs, and stuff. So, no, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, and but other than that, I love it. I watch it every week. But because it's on in America at a certain time, I have to watch it. Well, I watched it today, basically. I haven't watched it yet, but
yeah, I'm gonna probably watch it after my nephew leaves and everything.
Yeah.
I really like General Zod on their spoilers for people. But I thought that casting was great and everything. That was a surprise, and I really liked where they went with that. So with the current things, what did you do? Can't talk. Supergirl. Do you watch Supergirl?
Yeah, I'm not up to date with it though. I think I'm about 4 or 5 episodes behind.
Especially with the weird breaks and stuff they take here in America.
Yeah, and because I've been trying to watch it, because I watched it ages ago, and then I kind of stopped watching all of them, so Arrow and Flash and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow, and then I kind of wanted to catch up on them all, so I've been watching them all in order, because sometimes they cross over and things, so it's taken me ages to catch up, and I've still not done it yet. But
did you see the episodes with Superman from last season?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
He's not my favourite Superman, but he did a good job, and he did have a good suit, actually. His suit was really cool.
I think he could be really good. I like everything that he did. We just didn't get enough of him. Like he's the side character, and I get that, but it's like he just has a right blend, I think, to make of the old versus the new, and he could be a really good.
Yeah.
If he was given the chance to, play it more and focused on him to where. But I liked it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about him being it.
Yeah, I'd seen pictures because obviously I caught up quite late, so it had already been on by the time I watched it. But I saw pictures of him in the suit and on the set and stuff, and I was really skeptical about it. Well, from what I saw, or the picture that I saw, it didn't look like Superman to me. But when I saw him in action, he really impressed me.
Yeah, that's why I tell people, like, don't judge these behind the scenes pictures and
they're supposed to be bad.
Your tangent. Wait till you see it in context. I mean, seeing an actor sitting in their chair drinking in like part of their costume or whatever is not going to determine.
No, exactly.
Now, you said he's not your favorite. Who is your favorite?
Well, it depends what kind of style. So you've got So you got like Henry Cavill in his more realistic take on Superman, or well, in Man of Steel anyway, and Batman vs Superman. He's brought Superman to now, like to this kind of time. So he's my favorite, and because he's probably the first Superman that I've seen that's been in more than one film. So you kind of seen him progress in the character and stuff as well. But like I said, Dean Cain's also one of my favorites because he's the first one that I was introduced to.
See, I think everyone comes like when they have their favorite where it gets them in a certain place. Like, if I had to pick one, my favorite is Tom Welling from Smallville.
Yeah,
because I had just started high school at the same time that Clark was starting high school. And
yeah, it's like the Harry Potter thing. So you grew up with him. Yeah.
So it's like, and we got 10 seasons of him developing this character. And of course, someone could argue he's not Superman. Whatever, we're not going to argue that. But,
yeah.
and I mean, I love Chris, and like I remember watching him as a child and what that means. And, but, and then Dean and certain actors just hit you at certain times with the character.
Yeah.
And I really I really do like Cavill a lot. I really like what he did in Justice League. I just want to see that character progression now into his own movie of, where he was in Man of Steel, figuring himself out.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we got a little bit in BVS of him and a little bit in Justice League. He needs his own movie again.
Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for. There's been a lot of rumors though, and Henry Cavill seems to be the one that is pushing for the new film. So hopefully he gets to. Well, he's going to be in another one anyway, because I think I read that he's still got one more film in the contract or something like that.
Yeah.
I know he's a fan of Superman as well as playing him. So I hope that he gets to decide what happens.
Because I don't always know like what gets released where, when, how it works. Do you watch the DC animated films that they've been coming out with? Like when they did Superman Unbound, and now we have the upcoming Superman Doomsday.
I haven't seen them actually. I've got a few on DVD, but I got them quite a long time ago, so I put them straight into storage. But I haven't watched them yet. But I've seen the trailer for the new one, which looks really good actually. So I'm definitely going to watch that.
Solomon really wants to watch it because Doomsday's in it, but I think I'm going to have to watch it first because I'm going to cry during it. And then, my son already loves The Lion King and wants to watch it all the time. And I'm like, you know how much emotional trauma you put me in watching Mufasa have to die over and over and over? I'm like, come on, son.
See, my problem is I quite like weird films. So if I watch a film that is definitely sad and like everyone cries at it, I won't cry at that film. But if I watch another film, like for example, I watched Casper a few months ago, and that made me cry. And I was like, I never cry.
Feel like something about like there's stuff that gets me now as a parent, like that you don't think. I'm like, dang it, what was it? When I didn't even think about. I felt stupid after I did it, but I didn't even think about it. So when Solomon was born, I was in the hospital and I was with him, had my iPad, and I was like, I'm gonna watch something. I'm gonna watch Man of Steel. Didn't even think about. I'm holding my new baby boy first, and then like the scene about having to send him off on a rock. I was like, crap. Nope. I'm like, this is getting to me. I get it now. It takes on a whole new meaning. Right there, and yeah, it's just it'll get you. It'll get the flow. Well, I'm just sitting here. What are other things like? Do you prefer reading about the character? Do you prefer the cartoon? Do you prefer the movies? Like, what's your favorite way of like the character of getting the character? I could say
a bit of everything, really. I love seeing it on the big screen and on TV, especially in the cinema, because you've got your favorite character who's cinema size, and I love all the effects and things like that. So I love seeing it on the cinema, because you don't really have to think about it or use your imagination. It's there. But I do also love the comics, and the ones I've been reading recently are the action comics, the very first ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I love reading, especially considering what the character's like now, and his kind of morals are even better than what they were before when he was first created. So there's some bits where he kind of threatens people. Have you seen it? He threatened someone that he was going to rip out their heart and make them eat it if they didn't tell the truth, and things like that. So I love that.
That's the Superman to bring back. That's the Superman I want to see on TV.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I do love reading about him.
I bought the 80th anniversary big hardback, and it has a bunch of, the old ones. And I have a book somewhere that I've yet to find during the move some of our books went missing before, and I'm afraid it might have been attached, but it was like all the old dailies of Superman from the 30s where they ran it in the daily newspaper comic strips. And like you said, the little bit of differences, like how the character was and the type of villains he fought. And even, I love, like you said earlier, like Superman's power. I love that he's like so powerful, but yet he restrains himself. That's like his greatest superpower is the compassion and his ability to restrain himself. Because it would be so easy to make everybody do what you want, or because I've never been a fan of the idea of the bad Superman character. I understand like in the Injustice game and comics where that started from because of what happened. Spoilers, not going to give that away because it's definitely a shocker if you haven't seen it or read it.
I played the games of that one.
So I understand where it comes from, but to me, he's the character that he could do that. One of my favorite Superman stories, if you ever get a chance, is Superman Grounded by Michael J. Straczynski. And basically, he decides he's going to walk across the U.S. to stay with the people. And there's like little things that happen. And there's one that just gets to me because I think it's just so beautiful. And where he stops an abusive father. And I'm not going to say everything because it's a great, to look at the imagery and read it. And I think that's, that to me is what speaks about the character. And it's just something that I think, people want to argue and say that he's out of time and he's, the unbelievable or whatever. But I'm like, he's the character that you strive to be because that's the idea.
You can be it, can't you? That's the thing. The things that he does, and especially in the old comics, the old comics.
With the old comics, like the first one, he stops, saves a person's life on death row, stops domestic violence, and the idea is that Superman is even into I think today's age more. He's the ideals that we want. But some people are afraid to fight for it and afraid to stand up for it. It's easier to like I'm not a fan of like the anti-hero characters. Which is ironic because I'm wearing Punisher pants right now, but there's this brand of like sleep pants that I don't care what's on it. I'll buy them because they're so comfortable, and they had a bunch on clearance. And I got a Pokemon pair. I got them just like they're comfortable. I don't care, as long as it's not.
There's nothing wrong with Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm like it's all comfortable. So as long as it's nothing I disagree with, I'll buy them. I don't care. But what I was saying with the anti-heroes is I understand those characters and I get them, but it'll never be the characters that I truly identify with.
Yeah.
I get their appeal because, people sometimes we want the vigilante justice. We want, we want to just be able to, but it's harder to do the good. And that's what Superman represents.
I think a lot of, with the anti-hero characters, a lot of people like them because they think, if that happened to me, I'd do that. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So like the Punisher, he goes after the people that killed his family. And so a lot of people would think that, they'd like to think that that's what they would do in that situation, but really they wouldn't.
Exactly. And I think that's like when you look at Superman and even Supergirl, the character, because I think in some ways she has a more tragic story than he does because she knew, like he was a baby when he left the planet.
Yeah.
She grew up.
She remembers.
She remembers. She knows what she lost.
Yeah.
And that's a huge hole in somebody. But yet, instead of going crazy and being angry and lashing out, they try to do what's right. And that's what appeals to me about the character. And what's taking it back to like collecting and stuff. What's funny is in my family, people like, oh, Tyler's birthday's coming up or Christmas. What is Tyler like? I don't know. Just give him something Superman. He'll like it. That's how we get like so much stuff, is because a lot of times people, they don't remember what to get me.
Yeah.
And they just, get me Superman stuff. Like, I like it. It'll be good.
That's kind of what it's like with me. That a lot of my family and friends buy me Superman stuff for birthdays and things like that. My friends, it was my birthday a few weeks ago, so my friends got me, I can't remember what they're called. It's like an Italian money box where you fill it up and then you smash it. I can't remember what it's called. It begins with T, I remember that. And it says Tasmin Superman Fund, and it's all in Superman colours. And they were like, oh, you have to fill it up and then you smash it. And I was like, oh, I'm just not going to use it because I don't want to smash it.
Yeah, you're like, I'll just set this over here, guys.
It's just on the shelf.
I just recently got new license plates, and because Superman was created in Ohio, you can get a license plate with the Superman symbol on it. I was like, yes, because like they came out, a couple of years ago, and I didn't know if they still had them. And he's like, yeah, we do. I was like, send them to me. So I'm like adding more Superman to my, to my collection, and just everywhere I go. So, well, we could probably talk for hours, and it's always, maybe after I'd get you back on sometime, and we'll talk more Krypton. Yeah. It's kind of neat, like you said, having that British perspective of the show that everyone has British accents, and a lot of the actors are British, and us Americans are like, oh, okay. All right. We just take it, and then, when you get to look at some of the cultural things of the acting and everything, he's like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So if people want to reach out to you on Twitter, Facebook, email, I know your information, but I'll let you go ahead and promote yourself how you want.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to get the actual names of what they are, because they're all kind of different. But I have a blog, which is theaspiringkryptonian.com. You can get all of the social media stuff off there, but I've also got Instagram, which is The Aspiring Kryptonian, or Twitter, which is Aspiring Crypto. Or I've also got a group on Facebook, which is The Aspiring Kryptonian Superman Superfan.
Awesome. And I'm going to put all that in our show notes, so that when this goes up, I'm not sure when this episode is going to go up, because Rob's behind on pushing them. So
that's okay.
But no, thank you for coming today. I'm sending you a message right now.
That's okay.
With just asking so I can cut and paste it. But basically, just send me an email with all that. It'd be easier to put in the show notes. I'm always afraid press something wrong, and then everyone's going to like the wrong page to look for you.
Well, when I did an interview after the BBC one, I was on the Channel 5 interview thing, and the woman said, can you say your name and spell it out, just so I make sure I spell it all right? And she spelled my last name wrong. She put it as Humphries instead of Humphries, so HUMPFRIES or something like that. And I was like, that's not my name.
Yep, I have 3 first names, and people I know put them in different order. So I'm like, they're not hard to spell. They're just, I guess, hard to put in the correct order. So, but all right. Well, thank you for taking the time. I know we've had to reschedule a couple times, personal things that came up for me. Yeah. I appreciate it. So thank you, Tasmin, for chatting. And I said we could chat forever, but let's definitely want to have you back and talk more. So
yeah, let me know when.
You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal, log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep all the podcasts on and helps keep Southgate running. Remember, look up in the sky.